180. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the one, the only, the voice, Mr. Russ Bray. Russ, how are we doing?
Yeah, we're good. Cheers, Barzy. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I am very well indeed. We saw you.
Our voice is going to blow my speakers if we're not careful.
So you listen along. What did you think about our potential Premier League 8s for next year?
I'll tell you what, I've got what you saw when I came on. I sort of caught the bottom end of it. Yeah, it's a tough one to call this year. You know, who do you put in? Don't forget, the Premier League is it's an exhibition of darts. So you've got chosen people. You don't get in there by right. I mean, I know they put the top 4 in, obviously, but you don't get in by right, you know. And what you don't want is to go to a Premier League night and it being dull. You want excitement. You want exciting players in there. You want this type of thing going on. That's the whole crux of the Premier League. It takes darts to all the different places in the country or over Europe there. So you need good players in there and you need exciting players. That's good.
Absolutely.
Very diplomatic, Russ.
Well, the thing is, Jack, at the end of the day, I mean, I can make an opinion now because I'm not up on the stage calling, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, it's listen to various things that you were saying there. You know, I don't know if you mentioned Schindler, because don't forget we go to Germany.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can have, he's the German number 1. He's someone, you know, what's the point in going to Berlin and not having a German there?
Yeah, agreed.
You have to look at all the different factors that come within picking a Premier League. You know, it's good call with Van Veen. I like that. You know, the kid, I've got to be honest, I called his final against Luke a couple of years back. And I honestly thought that Van Veen was going to be the better player overall. I'm not saying he's any worse than that, but I mean, Littler's been tremendous in what he's done. But like I say, the thing is with someone like Van Veen in there, you know, you've got the Dutch interest, obviously, because they go to Amsterdam and things like that. So that's another factor that you have to look at when you're picking a Premier League team or Premier League, you know, players.
Been a busy time for you, Russ. The book is
there it is. Well done, Ben. Come on, Jack. What's happening?
Mozzarella dip for anyone?
I've got a Waterstones where you
$13.99 on Amazon. Come on. $13.99 on Amazon.
He's not even sent me a copy. What's going on?
I went to Waterstones. The same way. Yeah.
I know it was going into Asda. I know it was going into Asda. I didn't know it gone in Waterstones.
Oh, you're reaching the middle classes now, Russ. It's got into Waterstones.
Doing all right. Well, funny enough, Gary Wood, marker Gary Wood, he sent me a picture of it in Asda up in Newcastle. So
it's getting about. Yeah, Waterstones in Middlesbrough. I phoned them up and they said, yeah, no problem. Come and collect it. We'll stick you a copy behind the till.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well done, Dan. Thanks, mate. Come on, Jack. Get up off the arse.
I've been laughing all day.
So the book itself, how fun was that to write?
Great fun. Great fun. It's funny, I got a phone call from Penguin Books. It's going back early, right at the start of the year, just after the Worlds, asking if I would do a book. And initially I said no, because I've got to be honest here, I'm not, for all of it, for all my mouth and God knows what else, I'm very much a private person. My family's my family and I like to keep it like that. So I said, no, I wouldn't be doing autobiographies or anything like that. And the lady I spoke to, Lorna Russell, she turned me and said, no, it's not that. We'd like to do a book, you know, of you in darts. Not your life story, although, you know, little bits of that come in there. And I said, oh, okay, then, not a problem. She said, well, what we do, we get a ghostwriter in, a guy called Ian Gittins. He ain't a ghost no more, is he? We get a ghostwriter in, Ian Gittins. He will go through everything. He will ask a question and he will script the book. He will write the book from interviewing me. And we had about 7 2-hour sessions, I guess, something like that, where he was asking questions, this, that, and all the rest of it. It was absolutely brilliant. And Harry's put together the book together. I've got to be honest with you, Phil, it is terrific what he's done there. I'm really, really You know, I'm really pleased with it. They're very, very pleased with the product. I've had Hungary come in. They want to do it in Hungarian and things like that. So it really has, you know, it's sort of the shelves running, so to speak. But great fun.
How many chapters didn't make the cut when it went for proofing? How many did you have to get rid of?
I mean, that, in all honesty, would be a completely different storyline. Trust me. That'd be complete. I mean, that would be a different book. And I've got to be honest, I wouldn't do one of them anyway. That wouldn't be right. But yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff on the cutting room floor that you ain't put in.
Do you think darts and its colourful history, shall we say, and the way we've tried to change attitudes over the years towards like alcohol and smoking and stuff, is the reason why we haven't seen more books from players that have left the tour, etc. Because there's so many stories out there, but you have to go to an exhibition or something to hear them rather than put it in press and it be all over the news.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually, Jack. I mean, a lot of people have done them. You know, Mardel's done a couple, Phil done a book, Eric's done a book, John Lowe's done a book, Keith Della's done a book. All these guys and girls have done books. But for some reason, and I even turned around and said that to them when they asked me, I said, look, you know, we just don't sell. You know, you know, in that sense, it's, you know, I'm not an A-lister. I'm known in my sport, but take me out of the sport, yeah, you're going to have other people know who you are. But I'm not Schumacher. You know what I mean? They've done Schumacher's book and things like that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not Freddie Flintoff. These are people that everybody knows. Only people in our game know me. And similarly with the dart players, unless you are Phil Taylor, Luke Littler, and that type of person. So, you know, you've got to bring realism into it. You know, be realistic. And that's what I turned around and said to him in the front. And I think, again, that's probably why it don't really go potty on books. I spoke with Wayne on his book, and he done all right. Keith done okay. Brissy done okay. John Lowe done all right. You know, like I say, we're not at this precise moment in time, unless you're one of the real top boys, then you're not an A-lister. You know.
What I think is a little bit different, and I think it's brilliant, and I'll tell you where I think it's a bit different to some of the others is because, and you've probably played a blinder as to the time of year that it's come out, is because it's not the Russ Bray autobiography, is it? No, it's not. So because it's got so much in it that is interesting, just all about darts, and you can find out all sorts of little things, but it's done. Anyone could write a book of facts about darts. You know, you could get it from Wikipedia. You know, this is how it started. This is what happened, and you've been able to obviously entwine your story and tales and references to the players you talk about within it. But if I was like, if in the run up to Christmas, I would. You know, there's loads of my mates have got into darts in the last couple of years since everything's took off a bit more. I wouldn't give them, and with the greatest of respect to him, I wouldn't give them Will Maddle's autobiography for Christmas because I don't. They're not going to think, oh, great. Whereas this it's a bit more. You know, if you've got people who are just getting into darts, it's not just an autobiography, is it? There's a bit of everything in there.
It's what's in the title there, Dan. You know, it's all about darts, or certainly my involvement with darts. You know, early doors, all the different characters, a little bit what happens behind the scenes, and that type of thing. So that's what I liked about the book itself. Like I say, it's not an autobiography. There's little bits in there, obviously, about myself, but it is mainly about me in darts, and it is all about darts, and that's the whole purpose of the book.
Look, obviously, you've seen many things, but I want to take you back to last year. What was that moment like when you walked off of the Ali Pally stage, having Luke just served up a masterclass? What was that overriding emotion like? I've
got to be honest with you, Phil. I came off the stage there, I thought, wow, you know, it was a fabulous game for my swan song. It had the most viewing figures ever on Sky, something like 4.8 million or whatever it was, nearly 5 million people. And when I walked off the stage, I've got to be honest with you, right? We finished at, I don't know what time was it, 10 or something like that, whatever the time was. I never actually had time to myself till about 1:30 in the morning because I come straight off stage and you know what it's like. You've been there 1,000,001 times. Oh, Russ, can you go and do Sport 1? Russ, can you go and do this? Can you go and do that? I met Paddy Power and I'm going to have a chat with him and blah, blah, blah. So by the time I had time to wind down, was around about 1 o'clock, 1:15 in the morning. And I thought, wow. But you see, I look at it like my book. I've closed the chapter. That chapter's now closed. Yeah. So now I'm not on the stage doing the majors. Yes. I thought, wow. You know, PDC made me an ambassador for them. So I've now got other things that I'll be doing. So I've opened a new chapter. So that chapter being closed, it was, for me, chill out time, which ain't worked. I'm busier now than I've ever been. Which is lovely.
Do you still struggle to switch off? Because like, I could watch a game and in my mind it's like, right, I know the routes now, I'm setting up, or like the maths or whatever. Like I spend a lot of time with Owen Binks, who is so on it all of the time because he spots as well. I know you're still working in Asia and the World Series and stuff, but has that come yet, or is it still right? You see a screen, you see a dartboard, numbers.
Yeah, well, you know that yourself, Jack, in that sense. But the thing is, it can be embarrassing for me sometimes. People say, "Oh, you remember that game that you called with Bert Bloggins and you know Phil Taylor and blah blah blah?" I say, "No, because I don't." And that's the only things that stick in my mind are things like Phil's first 9 darter. Barney Taylor final of 2007, and some other odd games, and that's about it. And when you say about switch off, yeah, I do. Once I've done my job, I really do switch into, you know, that's it, that's that done. I can now go from that, you know, and forget about it, so to speak. You know, unless something particular happens, like you know, Michael Van Gogh in it in 17 out of 18 perfect darts. You know, they're the sort of things, or Fallon Sherritt when she beat Ted Evans. You know, the first time a woman's beaten a guy at the World Championships. You know, I called the very first lady that actually played in the World Championships. It was a Canadian girl called Gail King when she played Graham Stoddart. Won the first set, you know. Stoddart shat himself, and it was great. But, I mean, he ended up winning it. So, I mean, it was good. But they're the different things that you do remember because they're standout things. If you ask me to say, you know, Dennis Priestley played Eric Briscoe, I'll say, oh, yeah, great, probably. I couldn't even tell you who won because once I'm done, I'm finished.
Yeah, I like that. You got to see Luke Littler firsthand, and you gave him some encouraging words at the end of the final last year. But from that moment, did you ever envisage that we'd be here 11 months later and he's done what he's done?
To a point, yes. To another point, no. Excuse me, guys. I'll explain myself. No, because of his age and the pressure. I didn't know how he was going to take all that because, I mean, his kid is only 17. But I didn't know how he would take the pressure. Hoping that he would be able to, which is great because his carefree attitude, he gets on his PlayStation thing or Xbox, whatever they're called these days, and that's his release. That's him now forgetting about that. That's his chill out. That's his release. So, you know, for him in his own right, the way he is, I was hoping that you know the pressure wouldn't get to him. And he had 3 majors just recently where he went out first round, and he hasn't panicked. He looks at it as on the day. So to a point, I am not surprised where he's at. I'm very pleased that he is because, I mean, he's pushed darts another level. He's got a lot more interest throughout the world and everything else. And he's the type of kid, I think, there's other factors to come in here over the next couple of years, but he's the type of kid that will relish being where he is and what he's doing. So yes, to a point, I did expect him to be where he is because he's that good. And like I say, with the other bit, the apprehension bit, like I say, was whether, you know, his attitude, whether he could maintain the pressure. It'd be interesting to see this World Championship because he really, they made him favourite. I mean, the kid's 17 and they made him a favourite. To me, Luke Humphries is still the best player in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
was having this
That's
conversation.
my personal view. Luke Humphries is, and I feel sorry for Luke because Luke Littler took all the accolades of everything, and it sort of took a little bit away from Humphries, which to a point I think will help him. I think it will help him.
I
But
think
that's so much pressure. Do you know what I mean?
I think Luke Humphries has enjoyed that. If I'm being honest, Russ, so I can
Yes,
see.
yeah. I think commercial wise, it's been a shame. He could have had a lot more commercially, throughout the world, setting bits and pieces on the rest of it, and Luke sort of overtook him a little bit on that. But I honestly think Humphries will win it again. I think he'll do back to back.
Well, the last person that won it for the first time was Michael Smith. And if you listen to him after 6 months, he goes, spent way too much time doing media. I was doing 5 days a week on the Premier League circuit. I didn't have enough time to take this in. I spent the rest of the time partying. Luke
Exactly.
Humphries hasn't done that. He's still gone and represented him and the sport to a really, really high standard and carried himself beautifully. But because of the attention on Littler and everyone else within the sport as well, Luke's still been able to focus on his game, and it's showing him results this year.
Absolutely. Joe, that's 100% right. So Luke Humphries can go into this a very relaxed and very chilled out man. And in all honesty, the actual set side of things suits his game through and through. Absolutely suits his game through and through.
Russ, obviously, we know you're this global ambassador for the PDC now, and we know you love going to Asia and down under. But I want to talk to you about MSG this year, because the Saturday night in Madison Square Garden was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was packed to the rafters. They were singing. They understood the songs. It was like a Premier League night in the UK.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that happening so quickly in North America? Because you've been all around the world with the sport.
Well, we've done America, we've done Connecticut years ago. We've done Boston, we've been into Vegas, obviously. Problem with the American sporting system is if they've not got anybody at the top, they tend to push it one side. Baseball, they have a World Series with just them in it. It ain't right to me, but I mean, that's what they do. And American football, they're the only ones that really play it. So, that gets all the big coverage because that gets all the big crowds, and that's all where all the big bucks are. Wrestling, come on, Jesus. I mean, it's. Are you a fan?
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I cannot stand it.
Yes! Get in there!
To me, Jack, it's the biggest load of talk going. But it's a multi-billion dollar, not million, a multi-billion dollar industry that someone's coined on big guys prancing around the stage, pretending to be world champions when they've already choreographed who's going to win it. I mean, it's everyone's bent, but to me, that is nowhere near a sport. But it's mainly American orientated. So again, they will concentrate on those. Dance is not a multi-billion pound or multi-million dollar industry in America. So they struggle for that type of thing. All you're going to have is your avid dart fans from your various, players like Chicago's in the New York leagues and these type of people that will come and watch it. But having said that, Madison Square Garden on that Saturday night was unbelievable. It was sensational. Loved it. And it was good to see the American folks getting in there, getting involved and doing bits and pieces as well, So it's, I loved it.
We know that Asia is your passion as well, that Asian tour. We know that you absolutely adore it. And we've seen some of the players that it's producing. How long before we see an Asian really challenge at the elite level, do you feel?
I'll tell you what, ain't that far away. It's not that far away at all, believe you me. I was disappointed with Lawrence at the Grand Slam last week. He had chances. And the problem is the Asian guys are not getting the same high level competition as us Europeans, as us guys down this way. And it needs someone to come over and stay over. I know Christian Perez tried it. It's a tough call because he needs to keep going back home, and that's not easy. You need to base yourself in, away you go. Now, someone like Ilagan, who's qualified for the Worlds as well, Alexa Toyo, he's another guy that can do some damage. And one of my favourite is Paolo Nebreda from all these 3 guys from the Philippines. Now, these guys can do damage. They can. All it needs now is to win a game. Just win a game and get through. Get a bit of confidence. Goto done it last year. Hugo Lung done it from Hong Kong. You know what I mean? If I can get these guys just to do that, I'm not saying go on and win it, but get it on the map like that, it'll be amazing. I just come back from India, a couple of weeks back, from their World Championship qualifier. Nitin Kumar qualified. Yeah, he's the best Indian player, in inverted commas. There's a young lad there. There's a young lad there, 14 years of age. 14 years of age, who's their national champion. He absolutely mullered, and I'm on about mullered, Nitin Kumar, when I was out there a couple of months ago for the BRC, the Bengal Rowing Club Championship, for their big championships. He absolutely ripped him a new backside. And I'll tell you what, the kid's 14, and trust me, I'm working on him at the moment, believe you me, to get him over JDC and all that type of thing, because this kid will clear up. He's a big lad. He's a big boy, 14. And I'll tell you what, he's got the right attitude, got a lovely throw, gives it all the large on the stage and everything else. He can do some real proper damage. I got excited about watching this kid. It sounds so wrong these days, but I'll get excited about watching this kid, yeah, because it put me in mind of, I'm not saying as good as, but it put me in mind of Gian Van Veen and Luke Littler. So, again, watch this space. Hopefully I can get things busted up for him so that he can get himself out. But the kid is superb.
Like that.
I agree with you on the Asian tour as well.
Players
The players are fantastic. Mechanically, they're so sound as well. Like, if you ask me who's got the best throws in the world, I'll list 5 players from the Asian tour before 95% of the Pro Tour.
Absolutely.
Like, they're all. Muramatsu's got one of the best throws in the game from Japan as well. He just needs to learn how to apply it. And like I was having this conversation the other week, like if we never see Lawrence Ilagan on tour in particular, because he's a little bit older than some of the other names that you mentioned, he's 47 or 48 now. It will be a crying shame. But actually, because the Asian tour is so big out there and it's so expensive to commit and come over to the UK, and they are getting a couple more opportunities, not millions more, but like we said, the Grand Slam, the Asian Tour, the part of the World Championships, there is a chance some of them don't make the jump, but I really hope you keep pushing them to give it a go, because like, when we've seen Hugo Lung and Toilo, and they're all quality, they just need to be in an environment where they're playing the top quality all the time, where they can't have a game off, or they can't nurse their way through the opening 2 or 3 rounds with a 78 average and then have to step it up. They need to be at that top level all the time.
Well, they need to bang in straight away with a 90 average. You know what I mean? A late 80s, a 90 average is what they need to do consistently. And that's the thing they're not doing at the moment. It's not consistent. They can do it. They can do it. I mean, in all honesty, Nitin Kumar, when we was in India for their playoffs, he won all 3 championships that they run. He won all 3 with a 92, 93 and a 94 average. Now, that's good. That is good. And that's what I turned around and said to him afterwards. Come on, this is what we need. We need this all the time. He's a great kid, great attitude. Now he just needs to apply a little bit of pressure, have a little bit more confidence, because these guys, when I saw Lawrence, he just tightened up going for the doubles. Nitin tightens up going for the doubles because he's not used to being in that position. And that's what hopefully over the next year or 2, we can get going. COVID buggered us up for a few years. Yeah. Big time, because not only was it traveling here and you couldn't even travel in Asia. You couldn't fly from Hong Kong to Japan without visas and injections and being, a week in quarantine, all that sort of caper. So that sort of killed it for 2 years. And we're now just back on song again and just a bit better. So it won't be long. It won't be long.
Professional refereeing, Russ, obviously you've gone around the world with it and you're now a household name. Jack's obviously refereeing now and trying to get there. There's a real career path for darts, and maybe refereeing something isn't one that's been looked at enough. Jack, I know you're like, no, leave it alone so I can do it all. But there's a real career path and opportunity. On your part of your ambassadorial thing, are you looking at referees in other countries as well?
Oh, goodness me, I'll do a referee course when I go to Asia.
Nice.
Joe May, who runs the Asian tour, we will go into, say, Hong Kong, yeah? And there will be 4 or 5 guys and girls, women as well. They will be there that want to be certified referees, is how we term it. Now, that doesn't mean that they call for the PDC. Basically, what it means is where they're in their own area, in their own place, their own city, their own country, yeah, they can mark or call as a referee under a PDC banner. Now, you know what I mean? They get a certificate to say that they're adequate and able to do that. If we go there as a PDC tournament, you know, bringing the players over like we do with the World Series, they wouldn't be calling at those sort of things unless there's someone exceptional. And you know, we've got that in hand for that type of thing. Also, in all honesty, watch this space, because we are now going to try and develop I mean, I've been on with Matt Porter anyway, to try and develop a referee marking training course for people that certainly like Jack, someone like that, who's now experienced and been there and done it, even more so, to give them the opportunity, a chance to actually become a PDC referee, you know, so they will get the opportunities to, you know, that I've had. I didn't have to do all that. I was one of the first ones in there with Bruce and Freddie, so that worked out well for me. But only knows if I'd have had to go and do what you'd have to do, I probably wouldn't get anywhere. You know what I mean? But you know, all joking aside, we've got something in place for that. That's something that we're looking at big time, and very soon.
Is that across Europe as well? Because obviously, the volunteer marker scheme in the UK has been fantastic for a number of years. Yeah. Plenty of them. And I know we had issues in Germany for the last couple of years. It's not as bad as it was, but is that why we're seeing the likes of Lucas refereeing on the Euro Tour, so that it might encourage a few more to join the marker scheme and go, this is where you can be and work those progression routes in, especially in Europe, where Germany, the game's massive, the Netherlands, the game's massive, but we haven't quite had that come through. We've seen Marco as a referee, but actually nobody has really taken that by storm in a while now.
That's right. It's when you're looking at referees, you're looking at one, can I do the job? Now, obviously, you know, can I count? That's one of the first things. But refereeing isn't just all that. Oh, no, mate, don't worry about mine. I mean, and you've got to look on YouTube, see how many times I've fucked up, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, can I say that? Sorry.
When you played George at the Super Series the other week, you called him out on a added up mistake. It was beautiful.
What's that?
When you played George at the Super Series in that match of the week.
Yeah.
You miscounted and you had him on it. I was like, yeah.
he's one kid that oh Jesus, him, Kirk, Hugh, and Charlie. I mean, the boys that are in there now, they just don't make mistakes at all. You know what I mean? But the other trick is you've got to be able to handle the players. You've got to be able to associate with the players and things like that. If something's going wrong or something ain't right, you've got to be able to deal with it. And you become your own character. You become your own person. And that's the most important thing. You know, not all the best referees in any sport or best people in any sport are particularly the best at their particular thing, but they're characters and they're relatable to. And they can get a job done. If something happens, there isn't anything, I can honestly say in my experience now, there ain't nothing that could happen on the world stage or any stage in the world that I couldn't deal with. Be it players, if they've got a bit aggy with each other or whatever, there's nothing I can't deal with. And, you know, I've dealt with it over the years, different things. But that's another aspect of the game. As well as knowing how to call, it's knowing how to treat different people, how you deal with things, and lots of things in that way. Which, again, will be within what we're discussing and what we're going to be putting together for early part of next year. That's all I can say on that. So, it's a lot of fun to be had. That's for sure. And of course, it's giving people, like you say there, Phil, it's giving people an opportunity now to become a referee and earn a living. You know, it's a good living. Well, yeah, but it's a good living. It's a good living to be had. Yeah, you make it, you get there.
I'll get it.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, it's it's great fun. It is good fun. It's something that if you really want to do, it's been created now. That actual post as a professional darts referee has been created. And me personally, I like to take a little bit of credit on that, because when we first started, don't get BDO boys was all at that given time, that was all volunteers. It was all volunteer stuff. So when you had the embassy and things like that, all the referees, all the officials done it at their own time. No, just got expenses, I think, and that was about it. So when we come to the PDC, we started getting paid for it. Well, Bruce and Freddie were already retired. So to them, it was just a bit of bunty. So it wasn't really them earning their living out of it. Me, I was a scaff, and I was trying to make a living out of it. And I eventually made a living out of being a darts referee. So I professionally, I would say I was the first professional darts referee that there was, because I actually made a living out of being a darts referee as opposed to anything else. So when you got like the guys now who are making a living out of it, that's you know, that I'm pretty certain I was a forerunner for that.
You said about dealing with anything on the stage, and we've seen you deal with it, we've seen George deal with it, and it happened again this weekend. That whistling from the crowd, obviously, it happened in the Decker game. You're on the stage when it happens. How difficult is that to deal with, and what can be done? Because we were talking about it, that I don't think it will change until a player walks off or something like that.
Well, that's the last thing you want. That's the last thing you want is a player walking off or taking off the stage. It needs inside policing. What it needs is the security. Actually, our security boys are only allowed on the perimeter. They're not allowed into the arena. So you can't blame our boys for that in any way, shape or form. They're there to protect the players should any silly sod try and climb over the barrier or do anything daft. That's what our boys are there for, the protection of those. Now, the in-house security, they're the ones that should be dealing with the guy or the person alongside the idiot whistling. Yeah? Oh, could you not? If I was stood in the crowd and somebody beside me, I'd be like, oh, mate, turn it in. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it needs. It needs the crowd themselves, and it needs in-house security. As soon as the geezer whistles, thrown out. Put a big sign up before you walk in. Anyone found whistling while the game's on, while they're playing the game, will be ejected from the arena straight away.
Do you know, I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that. Because I've been shouting it.
Yeah, because it's the worst thing in the game. Yeah. I stand here, it goes through you anyway. The worst thing you can say as a referee is, ladies and gentlemen, please do not whistle. All right? Oh, you have 3,000 idiots whistling. Because that's what will happen. That's human mentality.
Yeah.
Mind you, it did work for me in Germany at one point. There was some guys are whistling there. And in the end, I just turned around and said to him, look, mate, we all know you can whistle, but please give us a break. When I turned around and said to him, and it worked, everyone clapped, and it shut him up. That worked that way. But all you can do as a ref, ladies and gentlemen, please, the very best of order. Please, you know, that's all you can do. You know?
I think the criticism.
I saw someone had a whinge and a moan at I think it was Kurt that was calling him.
Yeah.
No, but there's nothing he can do. There's nothing. He got 5,000 people else, or whatever many it was in there. What's he going to do? Go down, get off the stage? Pulling him off the stage won't work, because I tell you what. I'll tell you for why that won't work. My personal opinion. You've got betting involved. Yeah, it's like causing a big disruption at a football match. Get the game abandoned. The bet goes down, especially if your boys like Lukeman, you know, there's 15 odd down and you've got a 10 on Lukeman or something like that. Yeah, go and bring it off, abandon the game, but the bet gets null and void, he walks away happy. And that's, again, another mentality that you would have to watch. If you took them off stage, bring them off stage, don't look good on TV, it's not good for the game. And, you know, it's got to be dealt with in-house.
Anthony says he loves your new advert they played at the Slam, the old smart meter. We've got some questions for you from the chat room, Russ, as well. Question for Russ says, who in your career was the hardest in terms of routines and setup shots to referee?
Oh dear. I'll tell you what, it's a very, very, very good question, Jamie. I would have turned in and said someone like Eric Claris. A lot of you probably won't know him. He's called the Sheriff from Belgium. He was as quick, if not quicker, than Ricky Evans. I could even give you a story on that. Myself and Graham Fairhurst was at the UK Open at Bolton at the football ground. I was on stage 4. There was only 3 or 4 stages. I was on stage 4, and Graham was my marker. And Eric Claris wants 108. Yeah. And like I say, he throws as quick as Ricky Evans. And I didn't know where he was going, having not a clue. Eric required 108. He went boom, 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 that quick. Boom, boom. When I've looked, right, it's gone double 19, double 19, double 16. Boom, boom, boom. Right, I thought, Jesus, 38, 76. He's now walking past me. I've looked at him like that. He's gone to me. I've got to game shot. First off, I looked at Graham Fairhurst. Graham Fairhurst looked at me and went. So at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, we had a good laugh on that. But I would have said Eric Claris, and the other one was, he was actually an English boy, but he's by the name of Steve Brown, who went out to America again a long time ago.
Yeah.
Steve Brown, goodness me, he was all over the place. And that was a nightmare. But it's even harder now when you look at the kids that are playing now. You know, I mean, Luke and Michael Smith, you know, you just don't know where he's going. Or some bang bang, is it double 19 and something else? Oh, you know, it's tough to keep up with. But I would have said Eric Claris in that one, Jamie. Good question, mate.
Owen says, did you have a least favourite player to mark for, if any?
Not really. It's no. The slower the player, the harder it is for me. Because me personally, I've got the concentration of a gnat. And I will stand there, and if the player will stand there, certainly someone like Pipe, I'll get on well with Justin, always had done. But he'll stand there, and I'll be waiting for him to throw his dart, and I'll think, oh, I'm going to have a Chinese tonight. First dart's gone in. Prong balls. Might even have a bump. Next dart's gone. And then you think, oh, Jesus, where am I? You know, in the game, sort of thing. My mind wanders when a slow game. Fast game, if you've got a mega fast game, very rarely would I make a mistake because you're concentrating too hard.
You're on it. You're switched on it. The slow games, like they're all right for counting if you can focus. Yeah. But I've been locked up for the amount of different things I think about in the middle of a game.
Oh, man, so do I. Goodness
why was my mind wandered there? Because get on with it, man.
And then the next thing you're wondering where you are in the game, you know? Yeah. So
they're the ones where you miss the you require because you don't look and you go, oh, bloody hell, they've scored enough to get to a finish.
I know. or the quicker player has thrown, yeah, and left the finish. And times I've done it a few times. So you require, when you look around, he wants 280 or something, you know, and sorry, mate, sorry.
Oh, brilliant.
Question.
Yeah. We've got this one as well. How long before the world is too big for Ali Pally?
How long before the world's the Ali Pally, don't forget the Ali Pally, you've got another hole beyond where we are. So the Ali Pally can extend itself again. You know, the same distance again. It's huge. It's massive. No, I think it's there to stay for a long, probably in my lifetime, that's for sure. So that's there for a good few years.
As a viewer, what did you enjoy most major-wise? Which major did you enjoy the most as a viewer?
As a viewer, I've always enjoyed the match play. Blackpool. To me, it's the most honest as well because obviously it's legs. You know, you can win more legs. You can lose more legs in the World Championship but win the match. Whereas in the World Match Play, you can't. You know, you've got to win by 2 clear or whatever it is, however they do it and whatever, you know, is on that given time. But physically to watch, I love one-on-one like that. And the world match play is great to me.
We get asked this a lot, so we're going to ask you as well. Who gets on your Mount Rushmore of darts?
Oh, right. What, 4 people?
4 people.
Don't all have to be players. Could be anyone from the sport.
Yeah, anyone from the sport.
Well, doesn't have to.
Well, in all honesty, mine would have to be players, I think, because I played beforehand. Taylor, Bristow, obviously. Taylor, Bristow. Who else would I say? That's a really good question, isn't it? It's a tough one. I would say probably coming out of not a player. If it was a non-player, it'd be Tommy Cox. He formed the PDC, and I've got a lot to thank him for an awful lot for. He looked after me as well quite a bit, you know. So I would have put Tommy Cox up there. And I'll tell you what, it would be only fitting, because I tell you what, I've probably seen the best lady dart player I've ever seen in my life. That'd be Bo Greaves. There you go. And I'm not being politically correct in putting a lady in there, but I'm trying to make. She's the best woman dart player I've ever seen in my life. Trina Gulliver was amazing. But in all honesty, this kid, Jesus, she's absolutely superb. So yeah, there's my.
Before we let you go, one that's close to your heart. How was the Philippines as the new host of the Asian Championships?
Fantastic. Absolutely amazing. I've been out to Manila and I've been out to the Philippines. You know that, Phil. I've been out there, goodness me, 4 times this year. I'm back out there again in January for various trade shows and things like that with Johnny Mac. And yeah, it was brilliantly put on, because don't forget, the Philippines is the biggest darting country in Asia with the most players. They've got a fantastic infrastructure in there. The venue was sensational, the big casino place in Manila there. Absolutely amazing. The way they put it on, the way they do it, and the way they get it all together is second to none. Absolutely superb.
Well, Russ, thank you very much for joining us on the Live Lounge. Remember, everyone, Russ's book is out now. Christmas is along, so make sure you get your copy from All Good.
Also, Phil, by the time, there's also an audio version. I've actually done an audio version where I've actually voiced it as opposed to someone else. So there is an audio
right,
version.
so at least you've done something.
Is that available on
Cheers, Jack. Thank you.
Russ, thank you very, very much as always, my friend. And I will see you in Minehead this weekend, as always. But
yeah, we'll go.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Cheers, Barzy. Cheers, Jack. Cheers, Dan.
Wow.